He stood barefoot in the rain, clutching a crying infant no one else wanted, abandoned behind a dumpster in a freezing alley. People walked by, indifferent. He had no name, no home, and no hope. Yet in that moment, he made a choice that would defy logic and destiny, to raise her as his own. 25 years later, a black car pulled up to his shelter, and a man in a suit whispered, "The president is here for you." What happened in those hidden years? Why would the most powerful person in the nation visit a forgotten soul? Samuel was once a soldier, a man who had faced war, chaos, and death. But now he was invisible, a homeless veteran haunted by memories he could not escape. PTSD and survivor's guilt clung to him like a second skin. Every night he slept under a crumbling bridge in a part of the city no one cared to remember. To most, he was just another forgotten soul, silent, broken, drifting through life like a ghost in the alley. His days passed in silence, his nights filled with restless dreams. He had no one, nothing, and expected nothing more. But everything changed one bitter winter night. As the wind howled and cold bit into the concrete, he heard a sound, soft, desperate cries near a dumpster. Curious and cautious he approached, only to find a newborn baby girl, barely alive, wrapped in a torn, blood-stained coat, abandoned, unwanted, left to die. Samuel could have walked away. He had nothing to give. But in that moment, something awakened inside him. He picked her up, held her close, and made a decision no one would have believed. He would raise her, protect her, love her. He named her Hope, not just for what she might become, but because she gave him something he had not felt in years, a reason to live. With scraps and scraps alone, he began building a fragile life. He fashioned bottles from discarded plastic, built a shelter from cardboard and crates, bartered with street vendors for formula or food. Every day was a battle, but every smile from Hope was his victory. The bond between them was raw, unfiltered, and achingly pure, a man who had lost everything, now giving everything he had to a child the world had left behind. As Hope grows older, the challenges grow heavier. What once were small, manageable hurdles quickly turn into storms. She begins to fall sick more often, coughs that do not go away, fevers that burn through the night. Each time Samuel fears he might lose her. And then come the eyes of the system, social workers who question how a homeless man could raise a child. They speak of foster care, legal custody, and taking her away for her own good. The streets offer no mercy either. Drug addicts, gangs, and predators lurk around every dark corner. Samuel becomes her shield, never letting her out of sight. But protection alone is not enough. He knows she needs knowledge, dignity, and dreams. So he begins to teach her, in secret, with torn pages from books others threw away, using the quiet corners of public libraries as their classrooms. Letters, numbers, stories. He gives her the world he never had. He becomes her teacher, protector, and father, all rolled into one. But life does not stop testing them. When Hope turns 8, she is struck by a severe infection. Samuel rushes her to the hospital with shaking hands and a pounding heart. The doctors admit her, but make it clear she is critical. Samuel spends days in the emergency waiting area, sleepless, helpless, whispering silent prayers to a God he stopped believing. In long ago, he is haunted by the ghosts of war, flashbacks of fallen brothers, cries in the night, blood on his hands. Guilt tightens its grip, and hopelessness nearly swallows him whole. Yet when all seems lost, Samuel does not surrender. He makes a choice, not to fight with fists or fury, but with love. Love becomes his only weapon, his only armor. The world may still turn its back on them. But Samuel holds on to one unwavering promise. She will have a life I never could, even if I have to give up mine to make it happen. In a cold hospital hallway, where most only see charts and deadlines, one nurse saw something more. Eleanor, a compassionate and quietly rebellious soul, had watched Samuel for days, sleep-deprived, shivering, yet unwavering beside Hope's bed. She saw not a homeless man, but a father whose love defied logic and limits. Moved by his devotion, she took a risk. Bending hospital rules and using her personal contacts, she helped Samuel secure temporary housing and child welfare support. That one act of kindness became a ripple. With a stable address, Hope was finally able to attend school regularly. Teachers noticed her brilliance, but more than that, they noticed something else, a quiet strength, a hunger to learn, and an unshakable gratitude. They later learned where it came from, a man named Samuel who once taught her the alphabet with torn book pages in a library corner. By the time Hope turned 17, she had become a top student and a young leader. At a national youth summit, she stood before a hall full of dignitaries and declared, "I was raised by a man with no home, but he gave me the entire world." The speech went viral. Media outlets covered it endlessly. College scholarships, interviews, and political invitations poured in. The nation was moved not just by Hope, but by the unseen hero behind her. Samuel, however, avoided the limelight. He continued living humbly, quietly, mending clothes for people at the shelter, content in knowing his purpose had taken root. But Hope did not forget. She walked into politics not for power but for impact. Her mission was clear: to fight for the ones like Samuel, for those invisible to society, yet giants in spirit, because one act of love had changed her path, and now she would do the same for others. 25 years have passed. Time has etched its story across Samuel's face, deep lines, grey hair, and a slower walk. He still lives modestly in a quiet corner of the city, tending to small chores, helping others at the shelter, unaware of the impact his love has made on the world. He does not follow the news. He does not know who his daughter has become. Then, one ordinary morning, something extraordinary happens. In the distance, sirens echo, not loud with alarm, but soft with ceremony. A black SUV convoy glides into the neighborhood. People step out of their homes, eyebrows raised in confusion, then eyes widen in disbelief. Security personnel step out. Cameras follow. And then, the President of the United States steps out. It is Hope. Wearing the weight of leadership, but carrying the heart of a daughter, she walks directly to Samuel. The frail old man, now trembling, looks into her eyes and sees the little girl he once carried through icy nights. She falls into his arms, crying not out of sorrow, but gratitude. In front of a nation, Hope announces a national initiative named after the man who saved her, the Samuel Project, a federal program providing housing, therapy, and support for homeless veterans. The crowd erupts in applause, but Samuel, speechless, can only hold his daughter tighter. The televised image becomes iconic, a former homeless man wrapped in the arms of his daughter, now the most powerful leader in the country, a man once invisible, now at the center of change. For viewers around the world, it is a moment of pure emotional release. the redemptive, undeniable power of love, sacrifice, and legacy. Samuel gave the world hope, and now hope was giving the world back to him. Samuel did not change the world with money, fame, or power, but with unwavering love and sacrifice. The world saw a homeless man, hope saw a father, a warrior, and a teacher. In choosing to raise her, he unknowingly raised a leader who would reshape lives. His quiet courage echoed louder than any speech. As cameras fade and history books begin to write, one truth remains. Sometimes the most powerful legacies begin not in palaces but in alleyways, with a heart too brave to abandon hope. If this story moved you, do not let it stop here. Share it. Speak up for those whose voices are lost in silence. Subscribe for more true, inspiring stories of humanity and hope. And remember, kindness is never wasted. Someone, somewhere, is waiting for a miracle that just might come from you.